All right, 1 2 1 2 in the place to be. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? I am Frank Red, and this is the Dungeon Show. And I want to thank you for joining me in conversation. Look forward to chopping it up. See what's on your mind with regards to what's happening in the world of sports. It's hot in the Dungeon studio. No pun intended. Actually, I just a little inside dope. I just took a shower. I love taking a shower, man, to get so fresh, so clean before I'm about to do a show. Everybody has their rituals. But yeah, a wonderful week of sports. I think when we look at the NBA Finals, there was some trepidation with regard to whether or not it would be able to maintain our interest. It certainly has for a lot of different reasons, and we're going to talk about that. But off the top, let me say this. This is not a political show. This is a sports show. And we will touch on various topics when there is a intersection between sports and society and life and music and things that are really important to us. But what I want to do first and foremost is I want to send out my prayers to folks in Los Angeles who are protesting the procedures of ICE, grabbing people and doing whatever with them. There's a multitude of things. I'm not going to talk emotionally about it without the facts, but I do know about due process. And I think that's the big rub. You know, people are not receiving due process. We see it, and that's disappointing to me. I also want to say that I have an opportunity to work with so many different people of different ethnicities and nationalities, and I don't think that the best of that community is being championed. Young people all the time are aspiring to do better, to have wonderful lives, to acknowledge this great opportunity in the United States. And how they got here or how someone's family member gets here, that's a different conversation. What I want to do is express empathy and be a supporter and, again, an advocate of young people of all nationalities who want to do better and have wonderful lives. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. And I want to see more empathy from us. I want to see us follow the laws that we have in place. I don't think we're doing that right now. You know, anyone who has this much history understand how our country was formed. And it's not totally dissimilar from what's happening now. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I have to acknowledge when I see an attack on humanity. I have to do that. So I'm doing that, and I'm sure many of you share my sentiments. You might disagree, and that's fine as well. But I think it needs to be said. So I said it, and again, I'm sending my prayers out, and I hope that calm prevails. With that said, we're going to use this show as a diversion, right, to talk about things that bring us joy, take us back to our childhoods, manifest the principles that we believe in our regular lives in a different way through sports, and something that I can certainly identify with. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Thank you. Off the top, I want to talk about the NBA Championship Series. Now it's tied at 1-1. The OKC Thunder got some get back and defeated the Indiana Pacers 123-107. In a game that I think most people would assume OKC would win, and they did. A couple of interesting things though about this game. Despite the 123-107 score percentage, this is a relatively competitive game. I mean, you look at OKC squeezed Indiana to the point where they had like a 15-point lead. They never really gave that up. But again, I go back to my history as a high school basketball coach. And one of my great mentors, Coach Mack at McClimas High School, Coach Mo, excuse me, he always said, listen, look at the individual quarters. Don't look at the game in its totality. Are you winning those quarters? And I think Rick Carlisle was coaching the game that way. He was on to something. And if you go past the first or second quarter, Indiana played OKC, a much better team, much more talented team, pretty much even. So they got to do their business at the beginning of the game. OKC has to continue to do what they did today and really come out and mark their territory. And you have these two contrasting agendas, hopefully will equate to an excellent game 3. One thing is for sure, nobody on Indiana can check Shai Gilgeous-Alexander one-on-one. This was probably the most impressive game that I've ever seen him play. And this is not hyperbole, and I'm going to tell you why. Most of Shai's shots were contested. Indiana actually played pretty good defense, but because of his superior ball handling skills, he's able to get to any spot on the court that he wants to get to. And he rolls up with calm and deliver it more times than not. 34 points. It looked like a 50-piece to me. It was that efficient. So what is Indiana going to do? They're going to take the ball out of his hand. That's what they're going to do. Because even though OKC's bench played well, if Shai doesn't lead the charge, they probably are within 3 or 4 points of winning or losing. So Carlisle's an excellent coach. One of the things that he did really well is he used 3 timeouts within like a 5 or 6 minute period. That's coaching, because he wasn't emotional. Every time that he called timeout, I'm sure he was hammering home the point that he previously stated in the other timeouts, but maybe they didn't get, so he had to restate it. He is a phenomenal coach. One mistake that I think he made was in the second quarter when they were getting blasted, I think he kept Halliburton out of the game too long. I think he went with his bench too long because on the perimeter, they just did not have it. I'm going to talk about T.J. McConnell a little later because I admire this guy. But what pisses me off as a Knicks fan is OKC did what the Knicks should have done, right? They choked him. They took his little hustle game away from him. He was a complete non-factor. Complete non-factor. Somebody like him, who I admire, who I respect the hell out of, should not be determining wins and losses. He had 11 points tonight, but he had 11 points tonight. But when it really mattered, he had about 5. OKC had the proper amount of respect for T.J. McConnell, and they went out and they choked him. And they were making shots on the other end. So Indiana has to find a way to get support from their bench. Obi Toppin didn't really have a great game. T.J. McConnell didn't play well. I'm going to make a statement about Ben Mathurin, after watching him play. He could be out of the league in 4 years. I hope that I'm wrong, but his lack of ball handling ability is very glaring. I mean, he's 6'5", 6'6", can't handle the ball. So against really tough, smart defenders, he suffers quite a bit. All right, I can go on and on about this game and talk for 2 hours about things that I've seen, but I want your comments. I also want to talk about some of the other sports, other topics that might be on your mind, so feel free to chime in. I want to get the show started. Before I do that, let me say, listen, hit the like button. You guys doing a phenomenal job doing that. And at this point, if you're listening to the show multiple times, let's say 3 times, and you're not a subscriber, that's kind of foul. It really is, because we can't do anything without subscribers and people who support the show. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself, and that's fine. I don't mind that. But when I'm preparing to do this show, I'm thinking about the listeners. I really am, because it takes time. I don't wing this at all. I prepare. All right. SGA says, "What's up, Frank? How you doing? What's up, brother?" All right. You got a real question, which I appreciate. He says, "What are your thoughts on Oklahoma City Thunder getting the win over Indiana Pacers?" I just kind of gave my views on that. I think OKC is the better team, the more talented team. When you look at Indiana, it's really all about their system. It's not about one individual player. One of the most kind of boring conversations to me is the discussion around whether or not Tyrese Halliburton is a superstar. He's not a superstar. He hasn't done anything to warrant that title as a superstar yet. What he is a very good player who is not afraid of the moment. Dude has a contract more than $150 million. He is highly, highly respected, good team leader, above average player, but he's not a superstar. He's not. Okay, so Jay Williams is going to the hill with that argument. Stephen A is like, come on. Stephen A's right. He's not a superstar. Shea is a superstar. All right. I'll get this in there. So SGA put on an absolute show. He did. I always like to get Vicky in here first. The great Vicky says, "You have a blank screen now?" Okay, now you don't. Okay, thank you. All right. Indiana did what they had to do. Win one, go home, win both. There you go. All right, Nick Fry. "Hey, Frank, I'm probably not going to make it up all night. Checked out Ballerina. Interested in your take on it. Definitely felt like Keanu really appreciates film history, and cinematic moments." Yes. I'll give you a quick preview because I want to talk about this a little later in the show. But I did go see Ballerina. And I'm going to just say this off the top. I'm a big Ana Adamas fan. And the reason why I like her is because of her authenticity. She kind of reminds me of Madonna in some ways. I was a big fan of Madonna. She's not the most attractive, right? She's probably rough around the edges a little bit, but everything that she does is authentic. I love that about her. You can tell through her performances that she's been through some stuff. And she's a tough girl. She's a tough woman. And I mean, for somebody to literally have someone create an offshoot of an incredible franchise like John Wick and say, you know what? We think there's something else over here. And you're the person that we're going to give the keys to the car to bring it home. She did a fantastic job. She really did. Now, she had some influences of some other female kind of spy type movies that they could draw from, but her execution was phenomenal. And I'll leave it at that, Nick. I'll talk a little bit more about it. I'm a big fan of Ana de Armas. The Cuban. What do you think? How'd I do? Can't say it was really comparable to any of John Wick's stuff. No, either way. Hope you're doing well, sir, and have an excellent week. Thank you. Thank you for stepping in. I appreciate you. Hey, SGA, you should like the video yourself. How about that? I'm sure the great Miss Vicky will get up. Vicky's a star, man. Patrick, thanks for starting the show off that way, Frank. You're the man, and I love the show as always. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Praying for LA too, Vicky says. I mean, this is our show. You know, this is our show. I don't get paid money to do this show. I don't care. You know, my life got better when I started being intentional about supporting humanity and really realizing that everybody wants a shot. And we can focus on the negatives or we can focus on the positives. I tend to focus on the positives. And I think all people of all ethnicities really want to do a great job. Not everybody, but I think the majority of people given the opportunity want to do well in life. I think so. I want to go back to the Indiana OKC game. And I think another point needs to be raised is the fact that this could have been a freak show. OKC clearly had the momentum. They had their fan base. Everything was going well. And they didn't blow Indiana out. Indiana, even when they were down, their personality, their focus did not change. And I think that's a credit to the organization sets the tenor of how things are going to work. But certainly Coach Carlisle being a championship winning coach and a player sets the tone for what takes place on the basketball court. And those guys are professional. And I got to give Mark Dayball a lot of credit because it's tough. You know, you don't get a lot of shots at winning the championship. You don't. You might get into a couple of the parties, and you got to get it done. You know, for the rest of Michael Malone's life, he's going to be referred to as an NBA champion. That's important. And guess what? The best team doesn't always win. I personally don't know who's going to win. It was interesting. You guys heard about the bet that Jay-Z made? Supposedly, he bet $1 million that OKC would win in 5 games. If that is the case, he knows a hell of a lot more than I know. And I don't think he's sweating over $1 million, but they did lose the first game. And for him to cash in, they got to win 4 straight. SGA, I'm going to put this up here. Thank you. I appreciate you. Dagnall. All right. Thank you. Coach Dagnall, not Dayball. My bad. I get names wrong, man. I do. Especially if it's not in front of me. Dagnall is his name. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate you. The thing that really surprised me about OKC was how efficient their bench was tonight. Those guys really played well. Everybody came off the bench, contributed. It will be interesting to see whether or not they can duplicate that on Wednesday in Indiana. I'm picking Indiana to win Game 3. I would expect OKC to get a split and go back home with the series tied 5-5. But I think Indiana's system is going to be able to get them to the finish line in Game 3. Because it's not going to be one individual player. When you look at Indiana, you start to break their individual players down. Some of their flaws are glaring. I mean, they're good players, but they have flaws. And that's the difference, because in today's NBA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is what? He's a top 10 player. I know he won the MVP. I guess you could argue the top 5. I'm going to say he's a top 10 player. When you got a top 10 player on your team, you got a good chance to win. Indiana does not have a top 10 player. What is Halliburton? Top 20, maybe? Pascal Siakam was maybe top 25 player. So they're up against it. But when you have a coach like Carlisle, you can still win. Vicky says, if I had millions, I wouldn't have a bet. I wouldn't have a bet on any game. I hear you, Vicky. Meanwhile, you know what? Most Americans, I'm in your camp, and I probably shouldn't be saying this. How much money these betting entities are how much money they are putting into sports talk radio. I don't have a problem with gambling. I have no problem with it. And maybe if they sponsored this show, I might make a casual bet. I don't have any addiction to betting. No, I don't. I could make a bet and then lose or win and be very happy with the results. So I'm with you. But people love to bet. And it's interesting because that leads to kind of a transition. Because I am in love with the WNBA right now. I really am. And love watching the Valkyries. Love watching those ladies. And when you watch them, you have to acknowledge the excellent job that their coach has done. Lakasi. I'm going to call it Coach K. Most games, if not all of their games, those young ladies are prepared. And this is not hyperbole. The Valkyries are probably the most impressive expansion team of any major professional league that I've seen. Do they look like an expansion team to you? Not to me. They're going out there kicking established teams' butts, and they're competitive every game. You know, they took the liberty to the end in Brooklyn. So, not surprised that Joe Lacob has set the standard for how the Valkyries are going to run their business. They hired the right coach. And because the league is so young and maybe people in scouting are not as good as they need to be in the future, they have been able to literally pluck talented players off of a tree and insert them into their organization and give them the opportunities that they've been looking for and watch them become stars. This young lady, Lighty, she had a good game early on. She can't even get off the bench because Veronica Burton, the young lady out of Northwestern in her fourth year, Veronica Burton is playing ball. Love the way she plays the point. Love her. Kate Martin is starting to get her game together. Janelle Salon, the French girl, she's a real talent. So I'm definitely going to go check out a couple of games this summer. A good friend of mine, one of my former colleagues, actually bought a nice jacket. I was talking to him on Friday. People are all in on the Valkyries. And what do you guys think about them making the playoffs? Before the season, you would think it would be a pipe dream. An expansion team? I think they can make the playoffs. I really do. So, TJ, how you doing? He says, completely, Frank. The Warriors could use a Veronica Burton type player. She is a beast. Yeah, you know what she plays like? She plays like Mark Jackson. She reminds me of Mark Jackson, just kind of methodical, not real fast, but big, strong, sturdy. I'm impressed. As you know, she's smart. I mean, she's the Northwestern. Smiling a lot. I mean, listen, man. The Valkyries are an excellent watch. I think the WNBA is like, wow. We didn't see this coming, but we're going to milk it. I also want to give these networks, they're all about money, but let's give them some praise. The production value of the Indiana Fever versus the Chicago Sky on CBS last night, I don't know if you guys saw that. It was fantastic. Now, Indiana beat the brakes off Chicago, but the production value, the quality of play, everything was spot on. I loved it. I loved it. Now, there's a downside to women's basketball. I'm going to talk about that as well. needs to be talked about. Aaliyah Nye from the Las Vegas Aces is a very stunning WNBA player, and she is a great three-point shooter. Wasn't paying attention to her. I will next game. TJ says that's a great comparison. She is so legit. Yes, she is. You know, Mark and I played together a lot, so you know, I have a real keen view on how he plays, and she plays similarly to Mark Jackson to me. Wouldn't surprise me if she becomes a coach or executive, an owner, something affiliated with raising the game of basketball once her career is over. So, my name is Frank Red. What's up, everybody? This is In the Dungeon Show. If you're just listening for the first time, hit the like button if you like the program and subscribe to the show. We're talking about the WNBA. We just finished doing that. But we're talking also about the NBA championship between the Indiana Pacers and the OKC Thunder. That series is tied 1-1. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 38 points in his first game, had 34 tonight with 8 assists. And I think that this particular game was actually more impressive because of the shot-making ability. When I watch him, the only thing that I look at him and I see, he does not have great lift. He's not a great athlete. He's a good athlete. But his skill package is supreme. It really is. Give him credit. Give his coaches credit. I'm sure his dad deserves some credit. Maybe his mom. I don't know. But Shai really understands the game on a high level, and he's able to get to spots. And I love that. And all of this talk about analytics. You know how people talk about allergies? Sorry about that. You know how people talk about how the game has changed and it's three-point shooting and stuff like that? That's not Shai's game. Shai looks like a player who would be right at home in the 90s. Early 90s, late 90s, late 80s. He gets to his spots and he makes shots. And he's a willing passer, you know? So he's bringing the old school back, the way that he plays. He's so fundamentally sound. Vicky says, any news on the new coach for the Knicks? Yeah, it's interesting, Vicky, because there's rumors that said, and if it's rumors, there's always some truth to it. My college coach told me, he said, if something is in the paper, there's some truth to it. There's always a matter of how much is true, but there's some validity to what's out there. And I was like, whoa, thanks, coach. Saying that, the Knicks are very interested in finding a way to get Jason Kidd on their bench and off Dallas's bench. I think Jason Kidd endured himself when, after winning the championship with Dallas and wanting, and Mark Cuban wanting to resign him to stay in Dallas, he went to New York. Now, he got a bigger check in New York, but there was something about that market, something about those fans and that organization that convinced Jason Kidd that was a place that he should finish his career. So they know him. A lot of those same people are still there. And I think what has happened is the Knicks organization has internalized that the likelihood of them going out and changing the face of this team dramatically is unlikely. All right? There's a small chance that's going to happen. So they're going to have to go with the set of players that they have right now. So how do you get better? You have to get better internally. Can Jalen Brunson get better? I think he can. Can Cat get better? Yes, he can. But it's going to take a different message because they clearly were not adhering to what Thibodeau was saying with regard to defense. It does not mean Thibodeau should have been fired. I don't think he should have. But I can see a way in which Jason Kidd could communicate to those guys more effectively. I see it. I think he's done it in Dallas. He did it as a player. So I think Jason Kidd, if they can find a way to get that deal done, Vicky, is a strong candidate. I don't know if he's going to get hired, but he's definitely somebody who they want. I don't think there's any doubt about that. She says Mark Jackson would be a better coach for the Knicks. Mark would be great. He would be great. But I have to come to the realization that there's a strong chance that Mark Jackson will never get another opportunity to coach in the NBA. Doesn't make me feel good at all. It doesn't. Because I believe in second chances. And without the public having any information on what actually went down, we're just on the periphery saying, what the hell? Because they could conceivably go out and hire a coach because of gaudy numbers, because he or she has relationships with people that matter most, and watch him get the job. You know, and that's unfortunate because Mark Jackson has history, you know? So Michael Malone is an obvious strong candidate for a lot of different reasons. He's from New York. He's won a championship, but this is a guy who allegedly had some challenges in the locker room. New York is going to be a temperamental locker room. You fire a successful coach that maybe some guys didn't like, but I'm sure a lot of guys did like him. Maybe they didn't like sitting on the bench and never playing, but you get a chance to make some adjustments as a coach. Thibodeau never really got that chance. Now, if you don't trust the guy, I get it. But whomever goes into that locker room has to be a strong personality and a strong communicator. And I think that's why, while the romance and the narrative in the New York papers of Jay Wright Takes Manhattan is a writer's dream, and it sounds great, when they look closer at the ink, it didn't sound as good, right? Because Jay Wright going into New York, coaching the Knicks at the first time as a professional, people will assume that he is going to be partial to his former players. Whether or not that's true is a totally different conversation. But it's not illogical to think that that would naturally happen. Those are the same guys that made him a two-time national champion. So it sounds good. I'm a big Jay Wright fan, but I think Jay Wright is going to stay right where he is at CBS, getting paid a bundle to talk about 19-year-olds playing in college. Can you imagine the grind also that you got to take on as a professional coach? It's glamorous, but fun is not a word that I think most of these coaches would use to describe their jobs. Satisfaction, appreciation, and maybe they would use fun after success, but it don't last real long. There's a reason why coaches are getting paid a bundle. Vicky says, for Mark not to get a job in the NBA again is a crime. It is, man. But the NBA is a cold business. It really is. It is a cold business. And, there's a lot of inside dope that we don't know about. And I think, as you learn how to play the game and navigate those waters, it can really determine whether or not you have a long run or your run comes to an end. Think about Doc Rivers for a second. Doc Rivers has had a Hall of Fame career as a coach. And I think he will be in the Hall of Fame, right? But there's been enough out there for someone to decide that it's time for Doc Rivers to go away. There's enough out there. There's enough, highs and lows, inexplicable losses, and yet, he finds another gig. And I thought he did a hell of a job this year in Milwaukee based on the circumstances. So it's not about whether or not somebody can coach and do the job. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about perception. We're talking about decision makers who have the ability to put you in a position to shine, to prosper, or they can bury you. It's not unlike what happens to us in life. That got me thinking about Stephen A. Smith. Now is going to be on Sirius Satellite Radio on the Mad Dogs channel. And Michelle Beadle and her partner are going to get bounced. And they literally found out that they were getting bounced on air. Now, we all know the history between Stephen A. Smith and Michelle Beadle. Stephen A. Smith is the #1 sports personality in the United States right now. He hot. If Kendrick is #1, Stephen A. is the Kendrick Lamar of sports talk journalism right now. Will it last forever? No, it won't. But he hot right now. And if you think that he didn't want to get some get back on Michelle Beadle, oh, come on now. He did. He wanted to get her. And he did. And again, that's kind of how the game is played. So you got to keep your, antennas up, your blinders clean and working, your eyes open. All those bad analogies that I just used, because it's serious out here. It really is. Is that Fosse? I wish we could talk verbally. Doc should not be in the Hall of Fame to me. All right, so can you expound on that? Can you tell me why Doc Rivers should not be in the Hall of Fame? To make that statement, I'm going to say if Doc Rivers doesn't have 1,000 wins, he's getting up there. All right? I know we got some smart people out there now who will probably check that. But Doc Rivers is a champion coach. Doc Rivers has gone to multiple conference finals, taking many teams to the playoffs. Doc Rivers is going to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, if you can make an argument that states that he should not be in the Hall of Fame, then I want to hear it. My top 5 WNBA players are Beckers, Reese, Onescu, Wilson, and Clark. All right, so you're wrong. Please be right. You should be right more, dude. Right? No Brianna Stewart? Are you kidding me right now? Angel Reese in the top 5? Are you? Come on, dude. Really? You just embarrassed yourself. You said, know what you said to us? You're not really watching the WNBA closely. No Nafisa Collier? Really? Come on, dude. He'll get in because the point you're making, the perception of him. All right. Any other great coaches would have had another championship or 2 with that Celtic team. Okay. I don't think that your point is out of bounds. It speaks to how important relationships are, timing, so on and so forth. And I'll give you a perfect example. I was thinking about this weekend. Steve Kerr is going to go down as one of the great coaches in the history of the NBA, right? Why? Because he won 4 championships, right? But think about this. The first championship has to be the most special because that came out of nowhere. He implemented a style of basketball and a system that we had not seen in recent history. Check. But that's one championship. The fact that he won 2 championships with Kevin Durant on a team that brought everybody back except Harrison Barnes, who barely beat an OKC team that was better, in my opinion, is, okay, you appreciate it. I mean, you give him credit. But like you said, who couldn't have won 2 championships with Kevin Durant, with that team? Even before the season, which the Warriors won, even the Warrior fans were like, yep, we got this one in the bag. So that's 3 championships. The 2022 championship was masterful. That was probably his most gratifying championship. I think number 1 is most special, but the 4th one was pretty incredible because they weren't the best team. I think Boston was the better team. They were up early, but give Kerr credit, and he showed his greatness. I think Doc Rivers should be in the Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion on it. I also want to shout out the great Coco Gauff, who won her 2nd Grand Slam in her what has turned out to be a pretty amazing career as a 21-year-old. She has 2 Grand Slams already. She won the French this year over Arina Sabalenka, who is a real powerful player. I mean, she's really good. But this is about Coco Gauff. I mean, no one's comparing her to Serena. No one is saying women's tennis is back. But to have somebody with her talent and her grace as somebody who people are talking about in women's tennis is a big deal. I don't really like men's tennis. You know, I got to go way back in the day. You know, watching Sampras and all of those great players. I mean, I appreciate the talent that the men have, but I love watching women. They're just as fierce. They're competitive. I just love it, man. I think once I started watching Serena way back, and Steffi Graf is my favorite tennis player, but I like watching women's tennis much more than I like watching men. I do. So I want to shout out Coco Gauff for winning the French. I also want to, this is going to be a slow burn, you know, so we'll get into it as the summer starts to progress. But it appears that the Aaron Rodgers signing was always in the bag. And it was just people who respect each other, making a commitment with each other without telling the world. All of the analysts, all of the former players, everybody's up in arms. What is Aaron Rodgers doing? He should be there. And they seemingly had a handshake agreement not to talk publicly about it, but the deal was going to happen. Whether or not you like Aaron Rodgers is irrelevant. The reality is, seemingly, he did what he said he was going to do. He signed with Pittsburgh. I think part of the reason was they played the New York Jets first game. And you know he wants to get back with the Jets. That should be fun to watch. I think this might be Pittsburgh's year. I do. I watched Aaron Rodgers last year, and I have to compartmentalize the conversation because Aaron Rodgers is a person I don't even really look at, to be quite honest with you. I don't pay attention. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, I think is a major upgrade from what Pittsburgh has for what Pittsburgh had under center last year. And in a tough division where I think they have one of the best quarterbacks in football history, Joe Burrow. I've seen enough. In his short career, I've seen enough. Joe Burrow is a top 20 quarterback of all time. Of all time. That's how bad that guy is. With that said, I think Pittsburgh is beating Cincinnati, maybe both games next year. Because Pittsburgh doesn't have to outscore Cincinnati. They have to score enough. Their defense is going to do what they do, and they're going to be fine. And finally, they have a guy who can put some runs together. He might have 1 year. People think this is Aaron Rodgers last year. I don't know about that. Watch that play out. Vicky says, I'm sick of Aaron Rodgers. And you also mentioned the great Billie Jean King was my favorite. She was awesome. I mean, you know, she was awesome for a lot of reasons, Vicky. I mean, to me, first, she was just a great ambassador of the game, right? You know, she moved the game forward when it needed a spokesperson to do that. She took a lot of chances. She put herself out there, and she was a hell of a tennis player as well. But the game was really young in terms of how it was viewed nationally. I'm sure tennis fans have always loved and appreciated the sport. But for the casual tennis fans like myself, she was somebody who I knew, who I could focus on, who I could look to as a voice to learn about the game as a young person. So I'm a big fan of what Billie Jean King did for the game and for our society. You know what I'm talking about. SGA says, top 5 male tennis players: Nadal, Djokovic, Sampras, McEnroe, Federer. Not a bad list. Fossey, Steve Kerr has championships, but also has a signature championship. Doc doesn't have his moment on his resume. What are you talking about? What? Anything is possible? What was that? You don't like Doc Rivers, right? I'm joking, Fossey. I don't know if you like Doc or not. You might just be speaking your truth. That 08 or 09 championship was special. And Doc Rivers was the guy. Tom Thibodeau was his defensive coordinator. Think about what he did, Fossey. He took players who had not played together and with humongous personalities and found a way to get them on the same page. You're talking Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and a young Rajon Rondo. 4 potential Hall of Famers. And Doc Rivers, like you said, at that point, he didn't really have a resume. He was losing in Boston. His run in Orlando was okay, but he really hadn't done anything. And he got that thing together and won a championship. And that was special. And he was a big part of that. And you have to give him credit for it. Look at most coaches who win titles find their way in the Hall of Fame. So based on the criteria that has been set, I think Doc Rivers gets into the Hall of Fame. Whether or not you or somebody else thinks that he deserves it, that's a conversation. That's a good conversation that we can have. I have no problem with that. But I think his body of work actually, after winning the championship, is conceivably better. Some of those teams that he took with Boston to the Eastern Conference Finals was phenomenal coaching. Kevin Garnett was hurt 1 year. He got major play out of Big Baby Davis, Rajon Rondo. And then he has these inexplicable losses that no one can explain with the Clippers and some other teams, with Philly. I mean, I get it. But his body of work, his wins. Does anybody know how many wins that he has? I don't know how many wins he has. Has to be close to 1,000, if not 1,000. I mean, Don Nelson's in the Hall of Fame. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. But he didn't win a title as a coach. As great as Don Nelson is, he didn't win an NBA title. Oh yeah, man. I did so much research and so much stuff for this show. Um, at this point, I'm sure a lot of you have heard that Michael Jordan is going to work for NBC. Let me get this in there first. Thank you, SGA, for doing the work. Doc Rivers has 1,154 regular season wins in his NBA coaching career, according to Anscape. This places him among the winningest coaches in NBA history. Dude's in the Hall of Fame, man. Come on. Fosse, he's in the Hall of Fame. Great points. I think, to me, the losses stick out to me. I dig it. Like I said, I mean, I'm not going to argue your point. I'm just based on the criteria for getting in the Hall of Fame, he gets in. TG, Frank, I know you don't do this show for money, but I got an idea for viewership. Have a set time slot once a week on set day, and we, TJ, Vicky, will spread the word. I mean, I do. Sunday nights at 9 o'clock. You might want me to do it on a different show, but I do this show every week at this particular time. And not making money on a show that costs me thousands of dollars per year to do is not a badge of honor. Trust me, I would like to make money. And I'm going to do some things this summer to try to help that process along. I'm seriously thinking about covering the NBA Summer League. And I'm also working on getting on some other platforms and doing some other things. I can do a lot more to spread the word about the show and to have people familiarize themselves with me as a personality. So I understand why things are not moving in terms of viewership as fast as I would like them to, but there's been a steady stream of support, and that's good also. But we're going to ramp it up, though. And TG says, got it. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah. Every Sunday night, I'm locked in right here. Can I come on the show? The listeners are going to decide that. But like I told you before, I remember talking to you last week, and I told you, I said, you come on this show, we don't wear shades on this show. And your response was, why? That's my no, dude. No, absolutely not. Back to my point. Michael Jordan is going to work for NBC, which makes sense. During the Jordan heyday, NBC was the major NBA network. I'm sure he has some strong relationships there. Allegedly, they're going to pay him in excess of $40 million for his commentary. I mean, I think they just threw a digital checkbook at Mike and said, hey, Mike, just kind of fill it in, Mike. I mean, come on. I think it's great because I like ratings. Some people don't like, I heard some people saying in Indiana, who cares about ratings? If you don't work for ESPN or TNT, why do you, or ESPN or ABC, why do you care? Because it's fun. Because you want to see the game grow. That's why. Because that's how you pay the bills. That's how players make more money. By ratings. Networks are not paying billions of dollars to the NBA for people not to watch. It's a ridiculous argument to me. So I like to see people watching the game. I want to see young stars emerge. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what's interesting about Michael as an analyst is we expect him to be brutally honest, which is not nasty, which is not malicious, but some real commentary about what he sees. I'm looking forward to that. I also want to see if he can do it. Can he articulate himself in a way that is required for television? It's one thing to kind of be sitting around with your friends in a bar or on your yacht or whatever and making comments, But to do it in that arena where every second counts, where you have to be efficient with words, you have to paint pictures. Can he do that? I want to see it. I want to hear it. The other thing, and this is just me thinking outside of the box, I think what's going to happen, if Michael has a successful run as an analyst on NBC, I think it's only a matter of time before Tiger Woods goes to the broadcast booth. And at that point, it will never be like it was when he was a player. But I think his impact on golf is going to have a resurgence, because it'll almost be like the cool thing to do. If Michael did it, then Tiger would probably do it. I mean, he still has like some residue left of playing tournaments and envisioning himself winning a major, and that's all good. Do that. Take your time. He also has his son, Charlie, who is in the process of figuring out with his talent whether or not he's going to be a professional golfer. You know, I looked at his stats today. He's like a 4 handicap. Won his first tournament recently, which was a good sign. But he's a long way from crushing the game. He really is. Not saying that he won't make it. He's a talented guy. But his trajectory is nothing like his dad's. And guess what? It doesn't have to be. All he needs to do is follow his dreams, follow his passions, and put the time into it, and his talent will speak. But I think Tiger Woods wants to be a part of that journey, and I respect it, you know, while making hundreds of millions of dollars designing golf courses and doing whatever else he's doing. But I think at some point, Tiger Woods is going to become an analyst. I probably think it's going to be for NBC. We'll see. SGA, this is the problem. People give me so many compliments that I look good with shades on. Okay. Is that your deal? To get compliments from people? To have people tell you how great you are? What do you see? When I see you in shades, you know, I see somebody who is trying to bring attention to themselves. I want you to draw attention by your taste, by your commentary, by your insight on what we're talking about. Vicky says MJ will do a good job. I hope so. I'm rooting for him. Not that he need me to do that. Frantic Rage. So Frank, did you see Ballerina? Yes, I did, and I talked about it. But let me talk about it a little bit more. I saw it, and I liked the movie. And I'm going to tell you why I like the movie. First of all, it's hard to have a successful franchise like John Wick and then literally say, you know what, we're going to build off this franchise into something else that can stand on its own 2 feet. They did that with Ballerina. I looked at some of the ratings and it gave it less. I would give it a solid 8. 8 out of 10. I would give it a solid 8. I'm going to give Ana de Armas a 10 out of 10. I think that the authenticity that she brings to the screen is riveting. She's a tough-ass girl. She's beautiful and attractive in her own way. She's not Hollywood glamour beauty. She's tough, mean streets. I've been through some stuff beauty. And I can still be independent. Clearly has a good stunt woman as well, because some of those fighting scenes and gun shooting scenes, it's really good, man. I recommend it to people who like action films. I think she did a nice job. Key says, "What's up, Frank? Who's the best NBA player in your opinion?" I'm going to say the Joker. I think the Joker is the best player. And my criteria for that is, I think if I take the Joker and I put him on X number of teams, it puts them over the top to win the championship. That's what I think. I think you put the Joker on the Lakers, they win the championship. You put him on the Warriors, they win the championship. Giannis is close. Giannis is really close. But the fact that Giannis struggles at the free throw line gives me some pause. Although I think if he was on the Warriors, they'd be making parade plans because they would win the championship. I think the Joker right now, in spite of not playing well against OKC, I think he's the best player in the league right now. I do. What do you think? TG says Lamont Wade was designated for assignment. Yeah, I think he's on the Angels right now. Whether or not they keep him or cut him, we don't know, but he's gone. Frantic Rage says, good. I liked it too, yeah. And a kick butt. It's an 8, yeah. Yes. We're on the same page. We can tell we both like movies. And an interesting thing, Frantic Rage, there was just enough of Keanu also. There was enough. He came in, he did his thing. Probably didn't have to put in as much work. Probably got the same salary. I liked his role as well. Yeah, I think Lamont Wade's gonna get waived. I mean, why would somebody pick up someone who's not hitting? Frank, would you have traded JK for Caruso? Absolutely not. No way. Vicky says, to me, the best player is Steph. TG, highly respectful of Caruso. Love him. But he's a streak shooter. I mean, he made a lot of shots tonight. His defense is phenomenal. But he doesn't, I mean, he's a bench player, If he started, his numbers would go down. His shooting percentage would go down. But in the role that they have him as like that 6th starter, he's awesome. He's awesome to have on your team. He's a total team guy. I like him. But no, I got to get more for Jonathan Kuminga. Key says, who was the most respected player in the NBA of your generation? Maybe David Robinson? Nah, Michael Jordan. The most respected? Maybe it was David Robinson. In terms of being a great citizen, David Robinson might be at the top of the list as an ambassador of the league. Served in the Naval Academy. A brilliant mind, a guy who builds televisions and computers. I don't know about television. He builds computers. I do know that. I actually gave David Robinson advice one time. Yeah. We're in the locker room after a Warrior game, and he's struggling a little bit with his back because he had back problems late in his career. And he and I, for about 2 or 3 minutes, talked about acupuncture. And I offered to him the suggestion that he might try acupuncture. And he seemed open to it. He had never done it before. And I was like, yeah, I have lower back problems sometimes as well. Acupuncture works. And yeah, we had a nice conversation. But the irony is, They got 10,000 trainers. They have a gazillion team doctors. And I'm somebody who's covering a team that's offering him medical advice to help him with his back. Kind of ridiculous, right? Keith says, I take Joker as well. Does everything at a very efficient level, all-star level. Yeah. Yes. Vicky says, you really think Joker is better than Steph? Yeah, I do. Now, you can rephrase the question. Who do you like watching more, Steph or the Joker? Steph. I like watching Stephen Curry play basketball more than anybody. He's so much fun. I love how my listeners start doing shows and conversations by themselves. It's awesome. Good job. Good job. Vicky says Steph gets rebounds. Are you implying that Joker doesn't get rebounds? I want to squeeze in maybe one more thing, and we'll see what happens. Frantic Rage says, historically, Steph is better, but Joker's number one now. Frantic Rage, let me say this. That is a great name. And I kind of want to know the origin because it seems like a great band, a music band's name, Frantic Rage. Is it? I mean, where'd the name come from? What's the history of Frantic Rage? That is a wonderful tag. I love that. Works. I wanted to talk a little bit about the legislation that has come down, kind of like NIL 2.0. Apparently now with this deal, colleges can pay players directly. And I love it. I think it's a good thing. It creates a more fair playing field that did not exist when I played, and so many other players beyond the past maybe 10. I think they said that if you played as far back as maybe 2016, you can kind of be a part of this deal and maybe get some money. I don't know how much, but for decades, the narrative that coaches would support, universities, commentators, everybody was, we can't afford to pay the players. They don't deserve any money. What do you mean they should get paid? They have scholarships. You know? And I mean, these ridiculous takes in many cases went unquestioned. There was no debate. I'm just happy that these younger players, am I bitter? No, I'm not bitter at all. I would change my college experience for nothing in the world. It changed my life. Some of my best friends are people I went to college with and I played with. So no, it's not about me. It's about a system that was inadequate and unfair. That's what it was about. Especially now with all of the cable networks and the billions of dollars that college basketball and football are creating. Even the young lady from Texas Tech softball, the former young lady who played at Stanford. I'm not going to butcher her name. It's not in front of me. But she just signed another $1 million deal to pitch and play softball for Texas Tech. And guess what? She deserves every dime. Imagine telling her, well, what do you mean? You want money? You have a scholarship. I mean, think about that. Think about the mentality of somebody who would actually believe that, who would actually think that her compensation of a scholarship and a meal card is enough. When that university, you see the ratings of women's softball, you see the packed stands, where's that money going? I'm glad we're in a different era. I really am. Theoretically, it eliminates cheating to an extent. It'll still be there. Vicky says money talks. Yes, it does. Frantic Rage says, came from one of those choose your band name based on birthday, month, and day. Frantic Rage was mine, which, by the way, is the actual band name, as I found out. Okay, yeah, it sounds like a band name. Sounds great. I love it. Star players got paid under the table. They did. But now more players will get paid, right? You know, they don't have to sit out. It's good for everybody. Kids getting paid is great, but I hope they have great financial advice because at that age, they will most likely blow it quick. That's true too. I agree. I hope Cal will start spending on athletes because college sports is weak in the Bay. Yeah, it's kind of a joke, right? You have these great historical universities among the best in the nation. When I go up to Berkeley to watch a football game, and I walk through Berkeley and I see every type of person there, and I stop and I get me a slice of pizza at Blondie's or a taco or burrito or whatever I'm doing, I'm smiling. What a great university, you know? But you're right. Why not win a little bit? That'd be okay too. How are you going to win? Invest money like everybody else. Stanford, I love walking through Stanford's campus. If you've never been to Stanford before, it is literally a city on campus. You can walk miles on Stanford's campus. It's so much fun. People are happy. So yeah, you got some great universities. Santa Clara is a nice campus. USF, St. Mary's. Yeah. How do we go from all these wonderful universities to people getting paid? That's what we're talking about. Yeah. Thoughts on Courtney Vandersloot, who has a torn ACL, will miss the remainder of the season. Obviously, I'm disappointed that she got hurt. But I'm happy that Van Leaf is going to get the opportunity now. I like her. Courtney Van Leaf. I like her. And if I'm coaching her, she's playing 35 minutes a game for me. I mean, I look at Chicago and they should be better. You know, and the coach is gripping. I feel sorry for the guy because he's gripping. He clearly doesn't have everybody's attention. And that's why they're losing. Ariel Atkins is a really good player. Reese is a talented player, but she can't finish. Carbosa, she can't finish. You know, I'm tired of seeing these players with their private workouts. I'm like, private work. You know, when I look at Angel Reese, I would have her doing post moves for an hour every day. We'll be doing post moves, jump hooks. I've never seen her shoot a jump hook. Never. She's left-handed. She's about 6'3" with long arms. Have you ever seen Angel Reese shoot a jump hook? I've never seen her shoot a jump hook. Never. I've never seen Cardoso shoot a jump hook. So when I look at these really talented players, I'm not singling those young ladies out, but to see them get beat down by Indiana by 30, 40 points yesterday was disappointing because I know they're better than that. But when I look at the skill development from those players, I'm scratching my head. I am. It doesn't happen overnight. I get it. But I would love to see some semblance of a jump hook. Am I asking for too much? Key says, the Valkyries are legit. You think they can make the playoffs? Yes, I do. Yes. I haven't seen a team play harder than the Valkyries all year. I've seen teams who are more talented and better, but in terms of putting forth effort, those young ladies put it on the line every game. They give the best interviews. I love what they stand for. Love it. Young West. Yeah, UC Berkeley campus is beautiful. I did security for their football field and basketball gym for a while. Yeah, it's really cool. Great crowds too. Nice people. Vicky says, what's going on with Brittany Griner? Some allegations are coming out. Really? About what? I haven't heard the allegations. Haley Van Leaf is one of the baddest ruthless players in WNBA. I like Haley. I think, like, I see things in her game that she needs to improve. Her shot is not really consistent. She's left-hand ball dominant, but yeah, I like her. Any thoughts on San Francisco Giants? They have a good record, but can't score. It's like torture watching them. Yeah, you know what? I mean, it is, but I think if you were being objective, Keys, about this team, you would expect them to hopefully be in the top 15 in scoring. I don't know where they are. They haven't been, obviously, over the past 2 or 3 weeks. But you knew they were going to lean on their pitching. And they do. They have, I mean, even when the Giants are bad, they still pitch pretty well. So I'm pleasantly surprised that they're having a good season. I thought they'd be about 500. They're better than that. I think they got a chance for a wild card. But, I mean, you don't go into a lab and create hitters. You just don't do that. So I'm a casual Giant fan. I'm not a big-time Giant fan. I was an A's fan. But for Giant fans, you got to be gripping right now because they are playing really good baseball. I love everything about Logan Webb. Love him. Love his personality. I love how he pitches. He's not overpowering. He's a pitcher. Yeah, GA. Logan Webb is the ace of the... Yeah, he is. He's great. And this is a sneaky, impressive record. 38-28. I'm not mad at that. Young West. Doris Burke is getting some heat, too, on social media. But I think she'll be okay keeping her job. She did okay. Yeah, here's the thing. And I put out some tweets earlier this week. I think somebody might have gotten to Richard Jefferson's ear. I don't know. I don't know this for sure. But in game 1 and game 2, no, I'm sorry. In game 2 and in game, no, they've only played 2 games. In game 1 and game 2 of this series, I think Richard Jefferson has been more cordial, he's been nicer to Doris Burke on air. And I think that's helped their chemistry. Because on the surface, they don't have good chemistry. They don't. And it was a situation where I think each was trying to maybe outshine the other and protect their turf. They're young broadcasters. Neither one of them have really solidified themselves in this particular role. I think Doris Burke knows basketball. She's a great mind, but she's growing in her position. Richard Jefferson, I don't like how he tries to correct her. You know, you can be deferential. You don't have to correct her for everything that she says. You don't have to counter everything that you disagree with. Just don't say anything. So, you know, I think, again, someone has kind of talked to them and said, listen, if we sound great as a team, we all win. If you guys are trying to show who knows more about basketball, that's not going to make us look good. So I hope that she survives, because I don't want her out to be the villain, the person who's not holding her end of the bargain up, because I think that she's fine. I just think that they need to work on chemistry. Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, they're actually friends. So it sounded like they were friends on air. Plus, she's a woman. I mean, she's trying to literally break some historical dead ends for women doing major commentary in the NBA. Hasn't happened. So I get that. This is not a DEI thing. This is somebody getting an opportunity who happens to be a woman. But it does matter that she's a woman. Will the 49ers bounce back, and will Purdy shut up all the haters? I think the 49ers will bounce back. I think they've crushed the offseason. I think Purdy is what he is. He's a top 10, top 12 quarterback. Some of these comments about Purdy being a top 5 quarterback, top 7, I thought it was loony talk when people were saying it. I've always felt that way. And I'm glad that, like, I don't pile on. I don't have to co-opt anybody's take about the local teams. You know, Purdy is miraculous. He's unbelievable. And at this point, he's established himself as a top 10 quarterback. If you got a top 10 quarterback, top 8, top 10, and you got a top 5 to top 7 defense, you got a good kicking game, you are going to make the playoffs and you could potentially challenge for a Super Bowl. I like everything about what the 49ers have done this offseason. Frantic Rage, what is your next movie to watch? I'm going to check out. It's like a private conversation. What's your next movie? I'm going to check out How to Train a Dragon. I'm going to let you watch that first, and then I'm going to have you get back to me. I'll review something else. I was thinking about Friendship. I'm thinking about Friendship. It's kind of a quirky, off the radar type of joint, but I generally like those movies that have really good stories. You know, I'm a screenwriter as well. I've written one screenplay. I call myself a screenwriter. I've written one screenplay. But I love it. You know, I'm definitely going to write another one. Yeah, I love going to the movies. So much fun. SGA says the 49ers could open the season 3-0. Yeah. Young West says Richard Jefferson was good and it was a good NBA player with a nice career. Yeah. Yeah. Had a real nice career. Champion. NBA announcers are boring except the Reggie Miller and the guy that's Harlan. Harlan is really good. And Bream is fun. You know what's interesting about Bream, Keys? And you might have noticed it. He kind of slid it in there. But I don't know if you know this, and he named so many people that I didn't know. But he started naming off broadcasters who have gone to Fordham. You know, I went to Fordham. And that's something I take a lot of pride in, because when I got to Fordham, I was really, really green. You know, the first person to go to college in my family. I was on scholarship, playing basketball, wanted to get up to a good start. Had to really work hard when I first got to Fordham as a student to be successful in that area. And had no idea of the history of WFUV, Fordham's college radio station, a 90-watt station, one of the best college radio stations in the country. And it just kind of shows you where people are in their life journeys. Probably most of the young men and women who went to Fordham who thought about having a broadcasting career because they knew someone in their family or they just had knowledge of it, went there with the purpose of working for WFUV, you know, as a student broadcaster. A guy who I was friendly with was Bob Papa. Bob Papa is now the voice of the New York Giants, football Giants. He does golf as well. Papa was there when I was there. And Fordham every year has a senior write the preview issue for the basketball team. And they asked me. I wrote the preview issue for the Fordham basketball team my senior year. And Bob Papa brought me to the station to do an interview, kind of looking at the stage, looking at the team, and just basically doing a season preview. And I was fascinated by radio. I had no history, no idea of what was done. And it's ironic that I actually became a fixture in the broadcasting industry on sports talk radio. With that said, if I knew what I know right now, I would have took advantage of every opportunity that I had when I was at Fordham. Think of these names. Mike Breen went to Fordham. Michael Kay went to Fordham. He broadcast some of my basketball games, the voice of the Yankees. I think Mark Christashore, the person who does the updates for ESPN, went to Fordham. Ryan Rucco, the #1 WNBA play-by-play, went to Fordham. Sparrow Ditas went to Fordham. So you get the picture. PJ Carlissimo went to Fordham. His dad was an AD of Fordham at one point. My point is, sometimes you really don't know where you are or what you're working with if you don't have the history. And that's why it's so important that we, I think as a country, continue to give people opportunities. Because this is the land of opportunities here. And there's incredible opportunities in the United States. And the idea that a young person who is not responsible at all for being born, where they're born, their social economic status, none of that has anything to do with them. I love the idea of everybody having opportunities. That's what I'm saying. I feel very proud to have gone to Fordham University. The idea that I could go there and have the Monsignor of the school know who I am and have conversations with me when I was a youngster and really learn to appreciate the Jesuit education that I received was a great time in my life. It really was. And you want to be a broadcaster, you want to go to a great school, you might want to consider Fordham. Good school. I had a great time. I would choose the same school again. Vicky says, friendship is good. Thanks, Vicky. Thoughts on Breen? Like him. I think he's one of the best. I love how he is deferential to his co-workers, has some signature calls. As it was, Mike Breen actually tried out for the Fordham basketball team, I believe. And it would not have been, had he gone in a different direction. I think Mike Breen also at one point maybe wanted to be a referee. He might have been an NBA referee also. So a real talented guy, could do a lot of different things. He chose broadcasting. Needs to say it's worked out for him. All right, he's gonna be in the Hall of Fame also. But yeah, good guy. Went to Stepinac High School, I believe he did. Young West says, I like Stacey King, the Bulls. He does color. He doesn't do play-by-play. He does color. He's hilarious. Yeah, that was kind of a out of the blue hire. But Stacey King, who had a good NBA career, not a great NBA career, champion, but he found his niche as a cornbread Maxwell type of broadcaster. As ingrained as cornbread is with the Boston Celtics fans and community, you get the same vibes with Stacey King. Frantic Rage says Stacey King was hilarious on the Bulls team. Yeah. Yes, Vicky, all the Giants broadcasters are friends, and they're excellent. I mean, they're not only friends, they are phenomenal. TG likes Breen too. How great is Breen? He's the best. Yeah. I mean, listen, man. Mike Breen is making a good living, right? The way that he comes off, he might be an electrician. He might be a police officer. He might be a teacher. He might work for, the local YMCA. He has that type of inviting type personality. Just a good guy. He doesn't wear his title. Wow. Vicky says right now the USA is not about opportunity. I feel you, Vicky. I do. And one thing I say, like, again, I'm not really getting political, but we had an election, right? We did have an election. I think it was a fair election to the extent that the person who had the most votes won. Simple how it was this time, right? It wasn't that way 4 years ago. It was controversy. It was a fake election. No, I think the election did what it's supposed to do. The person who had the most votes is in office. And if you're not happy with, what you thought that you were going to get, then that's you got to take some accountability for that. That was the person who you wanted in office. Take accountability for it. Last question. Last movie question. I'm sorry. Do you pay per movie, or are you an A-list member or similar membership? No, I pay for all of my movies, every last one of them. Yep. Pay for them all. I believe baseball announcers in my generation have been the most iconic and best of any sports. And most of them are not doing it anymore. I'm 51. I love listening to the Giants and A's of the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, Northern California, we're kind of spoiled. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I agree with you. I just want to see opportunity for everybody. The world has caught up to us in basketball, but we still stink at soccer. Crazy? Okay. Still suck. I'm sorry. The world has caught up to us in basketball, but we still suck at soccer. Crazy. Well, we suck at men's soccer. We don't suck at women's soccer. Again, one of my favorite sports to watch. We are exceptional at women's soccer. We are. And the reason why we're not great at men's soccer is because it's kind of a club sport, who you know, you need money for the trainer type of sport. You know? If there was equal opportunity in soccer, oh, we'd be good. We'd really be good. Because we would have our best players, our best athletes playing. It's kind of, men's soccer is kind of a privileged sport. Let's be honest. We don't produce 6'4", 6'5" soccer players in the United States. Those kids are playing football, basketball, baseball. We see guys around 6 foot, 5'10". It doesn't mean they're not skilled. They are very skilled. But when I watch the major soccer leagues over in Europe, 6'4", 6'3", 6'5", juggernauts. You know, Adonises out there with better footwork than our guys. Strength, power. I don't see that from our men. Tell me I'm wrong. Keith says, yeah, women are dominant. Yeah, they're dominant. And I mean, why? Because some of the best athletes in our country play women's soccer. You know who my favorite is? Garma. Can't think of her first name right now. She went to Stanford. She's from San Jose. She's now, I think she might play for Man United over in Europe, got a big $1 million contract. Plays defense, never makes a mistake. Never. She's awesome. Bill King and Lon Simmons were great when they were on the radio. Yes. Legends. Vicky said it's hard for me to watch soccer. Again, I'll watch a women's soccer match. No problem. I love it. All right. TG says, Frank, your insight from playing days and knowledge from knowing so many people, you are a breath of fresh air compared to KNBR 95 The Game. I could go on and on and on and on. I appreciate that. I really do. And the thing that drives me are the listeners. You and so many others are the listeners. I generally like talking to people. I like learning from people. I'm not defined by what I do. I'm defined by who I am and my character. So, you know, I mean, let's face it, man. I mean, a lot of cats who get to the point where they are talking on the radio commercially, they work their asses off. They work hard, you know, but most of them know people, you know, they know somebody, they got in there, they're friends, you know, I mean, it's a very incestuous type of business. Matt Steinmetz and I are really good friends. I call him Stymie. Stymie and I are really good friends. And I like Matt. Matt's great guy. And a pretty good basketball player also. You know, Matt can play. For years, Matt Steinmetz was the best basketball player among the media types, right? Among people who maybe didn't play. I think Matt might have played Division III basketball, but good guy, knows the game, writer. And Guru used to call my show. And I could not be more happy for him. You know, I mean, this dude has been able to sustain a career in a very competitive industry for over a decade now. Has his fan base, is a good human being, great husband, father, man of the community. I'm so happy he's on there. So, because I know the people, some of them I'm a little partial, but I love it when people who I like win. And some of those guys are winning. I like doing what I do. And for you to take your time, TG, to acknowledge me is awesome. I thank you. We've gone way longer than I thought we was going to go tonight. We've been on air now for an hour and 40 minutes. I want to thank y'all for helping this become such an engaging and entertaining show. Sheepishly, I'm going to say it again, but I know everybody who listens to the show tonight has subscribed to the program, right? And you've hit the like button. Hopefully that is the case. If not, give us another chance, and we'll see what's up. Anthony C., how you doing? So I love people, silent listeners. They just listen. They may or may not jump in, but thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you, man. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let people know about it. The great Vicky says, wow. Could listen to another hour and 45. I appreciate that, man. Key says, thanks, Frank. Great show as usual. Vicky says, you are the bomb. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate y'all. All right. That's going to be it. Frantic Rage, thank you for your comments. I appreciate you. I'm going to do my thing and get out of here. Everyone have a phenomenal week. I'm probably going to step in on Wednesday night after Game 3. So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, you want to help me, you want to help the program, hit the like button and subscribe to the show. All right, my name is Frank Fed. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you're an individual, don't do things to help other people make their lives better. As far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. Everybody be safe. Once again, my prayers go out to people in Los Angeles who are putting their lives on the line to stand up for, I think, the opportunity for all. All right? For all people who are doing good. I am in no means talking about people who are not of the mindset to make our country better. I'm talking about people who want opportunities, who are not receiving due process. That's what I'm talking about. All right? Good night, everybody. Peace.